Thank you. Welcome everyone here to the policy and planning meeting.
Yep.
The prayer has been read out this morning. I have received no apologies. There is no public forum. Conflict of interest declarations. If anybody has any conflict of interest declarations, please make them now or when the relevant item comes up. I've had no notification of change of confirmation of order of business, reports for decision. 6.1 review of council control of dog bylaws and dog control and ownership responsibility. Who's taking us through this? Tiffany, please. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll take the report as read, but I will go through it. I'll try and keep it quick. So effectively, the report provides an overview of council's control of dogs bylaw and our dog control and owner responsibility policy. It contains an analysis of submissions that we've received during pre-engagement, and it also considers comparable policies and bylaws of surrounding territorial authorities. So just for some context, we're required to adopt a policy in respect to dogs under Section 10 of the Dog Control Act 1996. And then we are also required to give effect to the policy by making a bylaw. Under Section 159 of the LGA, it requires the review of bylaws no later than 10 years, and our bylaw is therefore required for review by the 26th of May 2026. So that's why we're here today. I won't go through the process for review. I'll take that as read, but we will skip instead to Section 3. So in Section 3, the report provides an overview of key information from our request for service. And you will hopefully remember we went through these with you in a workshop at the end of last year. But if you do have any questions, Aaron is here if you would like. So we'll move forward into Section 3.4. So officers ran a pre-engagement survey from the 22nd of December last year to the 20th of January 2026. We had a total of 23 submissions on the pre-engagement survey. And the table that we've provided just provides an overview of how the breakdown of those submissions and some of the key things that they came back to us with. I'm not sure if anyone has any questions at this point.
Any questions for anybody? Thank you, Estelle.
So we will move forward to Section 3.6. In attachment 1, we've provided a table where we compare our bylaw and policy against the legislation requirements. And then moving forward into Section 3.11, we looked at also our policy and bylaw against 3 other territorial authorities which are close in proximity to us and then also have similar kind of challenges to us in terms of context. So we looked at Tararua District Council, Manawatu District Council, and then Wanganui District Council. And we assessed our policy and bylaw against theirs just to kind of see how we aligned or where there were differences to look at why. I won't read through the analysis.
Your worship.
Yeah, just I know this is about dog bylaws today, but can we bear in mind we also need to compare our bylaws in the cat area as well. I've been attending the Itty Bitty Kitty. I know it's a mouthful, but they are doing good work. But we are comparing policies and so on. They could be looked at some of the time.
So I can make a note
on action to how that could be progressed sometime in the future.
Okay.
Councillor Wilson, please.
Councillor Wilson.
Thank you, Chair. Just in particular with the referencing our neighbours' policies, bylaws and things, we have a shared service arrangement with Manawatu. So it would seem to me clearly that we would have taken a strong focus on what their policies are to enable the team to deliver, because it seemed to me it would be quite difficult if we're operating the the dog control service for both of our councils for a shared arrangement if the policies and the rules apply. So I'm interested to hear, has that created any complexities for you that we should be considering?
We've had discussions with Manawatu District Council, and originally we were going to run the two reviews side by side, but they pulled out at the last minute due to cost overrun. So it's still in the pipeline. Yes, it would make it a lot easier for my team to assimilate into either area if our bylaws were aligned with each other.
Okay, so further subsequent to that, if I may, is there any, I mean, obviously, Manawatu, as I'm hearing from that, isn't due for you, so that there's a misalignment there, which is a little bit disappointing, but that's the way these policies land within the different councils. Is there any particular area when looking at the two things that you would be thinking that we should consider in ours to make the application of your role more fluid and easier to do? Is there anything we need to be aware of?
There's nothing significant. There's always been minor differences that if we line them up, it would make discussions with members of the public a lot easier. Around things like minimum distances from fences and things like that.
Right.
There's nothing significant that would make a significant impact between the two.
Okay, thank you. Happy to hear that.
Any other comments, questions about the comparisons?
Could I just provide a comment in response to his worship's comment about cats?
Sure.
So cats come under our animal control bylaw. That bylaw is due for review January 2029. So that would be the next scheduled stage that we would look at cats as part of the bylaw system.
Governments cannot fast track. Can we fast track that process if necessary?
At this stage, we don't have the resourcing to fast track that review.
Thank you.
So I'll raise this separately. But I do have a question around the bylaw, and if I look at 3.25, there isn't mandatory impounding of any dog at large in breach of the bylaw, where there is, which is the case in Whanganui and Manawatu. So effectively, if somebody decides not to have a dog on a leash or registration, you rely on discretion. Does that, and the comment is, does it undermine? And that's the ask from me. Would you want it? Mandatory power?
I don't think so, because it's covered under the Dog Control Act anyway. So there's always that discretion whether to impound or not.
Councillor Lawson.
Thank you, Chair. Reading through the report, I note there was a very on property that.
I think it's
I think it's
It's,
5.
yeah, it's quite a large number, I think, from memory. I note you reference a part, I believe it, of Tararua's that has, I believe it was 2, with a special exemption for more than 2 or up to 3 or something along those lines via a special exemption. I would have assumed to get that exemption that would require a visit to make sure that the property was. How do we deal with that?
Pretty much the same. So we have a permit system where we would do an inspection to make sure that they comply with a range of rules around having more than, I'm sure it is 5 dogs. I don't remember off the top of my head. Both Manawatu and Tararua are in line with that as well. So they have the same process.
Okay.
So
It's just that theirs seemed to be a little bit more defined as to what the requirement over the 2 was. And I was wondering, did ours need to be strengthened in that capacity? Or again, are you comfortable with the way the current system works?
I think so. I think it works okay. Obviously there needs to be some strengthening up of the processes around it so that all the team are on the same page. But yeah, I think on the whole it works okay.
And I think I can just say from experience, I actually live next to a neighbour who asked for an exemption from us as a neighbouring property. And so we've got a process in place for how somebody can approach neighbours. It was quite a smooth process in terms of filling out the application form and responding. But absolutely something we can look at if it does need tightening up.
Thank you. I've just got a minor detail 315. Manawatu and Whanganui exempt dog herding or driving stock on roads from feces removal, which is only a small matter because I don't imagine that any that can be enforced. But the fact that it clarifies it is, I feel well, it tidies the regulation up because if you were working dogs, technically you would be in breach of regulations if you didn't pick up the feces from the dog, yet the dog would be covered in animal droppings. So I thought that would something that would be consistent, but I don't know if the council maybe feel that that is significant to alter. Are there any other comment that? Yes, thank you, Councillor.
Sorry, I think they have a lot to say on this, but reading through the policy and having had some recent discussions around, I think it was a workshop with some of the dog that we seem to operate largely on an educational basis as our first step to offer some guidance to either a problem dog or a barking dog. There seems to me to be a reasonably soft initial approach, which I endorse, and the reports that I hear back is that that your team do a very good job of that. Are we missing anything in here that you could speak to from a regulatory point of view if we need to go down that line? Do a softly approach for our education things is great, but is there something that we're missing here that you find we need to step into a little bit more?
Not necessarily. Every incident we deal with is taken on its own merits. So there are times where a compliance-based approach doesn't work and you need to go straight to enforcement. So that's always a tool that the team have got. And I don't think the bylaw or policy would change that. So it's actually in the framework.
Okay.
So yeah, even though we do have a compliance education start or a base for our framework, we can always skip to the next stage.
Thank you, Councillor. If there's no other general questions or comments, I might move to the first recommendation. Or have you got? Am I jumping the gun?
Is it okay if I continue? Sorry.
Oh, sorry, have you not finished?
No, I was just going to say before we get there, just to hopefully help with some context,
Right,
is to say that there's two options today.
right.
One being that you determine that the bylaw is the most appropriate, and that you then provide directions for us to consider in terms of amendments that we might be able to make to the bylaw and policy. And then the other option is that you determine it's the most appropriate, but that you do not wish to, so the current bylaw would stand and you do not wish to pursue any changes to the bylaw or policy at the time. And I just wanted to make the point that if you were going to go with option 2, we would still need to consult. So even if the current bylaw and policy as they stand, we're still required to publicly consult on those. And then if you were to go with option 1, obviously section 3.24 of the report outlines some of the things that we thought you would like to consider in terms of some amendments or improvements that could be made. I've also made a note around looking at the multi-dog policy a little bit better, and then the driving stock on roads as well. I've made that note as well. If there's any others that you wanted to add, just to provide that direction as well would be helpful.
Right, very good. But on that note,
Yes.
do we have any, are we going to recommendations now or are we going options?
Yeah, so you might want to receive the report first.
Oh, okay, can I have a mover to receive the report, please? Who's on committee? Councillor Pikikora and His Worship the Mayor seconded.
You need to comment.
All in favour? Against? Carried. Recommendation two?
Yeah, so recommendation 2 is simply expressing appreciation for the people who provided feedback on the pre-engagement survey.
Thank you. Can I have a mover for this? Councillor Pikiura, seconder, Councillor Hainsworth, thank you. All in favour? Against? Carried. Recommendation 3. Policy and Planning Committee makes a determination under section 155 the Local Government Act that a bylaw for control of dogs is the most popular way of addressing the problems of man-rearing dogs in the Wellington district. It's going to affect to the requirements of the Dog Control Act 1996, noting that the section of the 10.6 of the Dog Control Act 1995 the council make a bylaw to enforce the dog control and ownership responsibility. You don't have that choice.
No.
No, okay. Someone to move this, please. Councillor Wilson and a seconder, Councillor Pikiura. Thank you. All in favour? Against? Carried. Information 4. Okay, now we have a choice. That the Policy and Planning Committee direct officers to make amendments to the control of dogs, bylaws, and the dog controls and owner responsibility policy. The draft bylaw and policy long consultation materials brought back to committee for consideration at a later date. That is the first option. The other one is not to change the dog bylaw, and the fact that we have to go to consultation anyway makes the first option much more reasonable. Is that correct?
Determination 4.
Do we have someone to move that option?
I'd like to move recommendation 4,
Yes.
that we direct officers to make amendments to the control of dog bylaw, dog control and responsibility draft and consultation material brought back to committee for consideration at a later date. Seeking a second, I'll speak to them.
Thank you. Councillor Ainsworth. Thank you. Second. Speakers.
Thank you, Coach.
The mover, yes. Thank you, Councillor Wilson.
Yeah, thank you for that. Look, this is one that I took quite a bit of time to read. There is a couple of things in there that I do think we need to consider in a little bit more detail. Am I right in saying that this policy has remained unchanged for a number of years? Is that my consideration? One of the biggest one there, which is the earlier question I asked and staff tip I heard you say, is we can have 5 dogs here in our. And that seems to be a bit of a concerning one.
Yes, I was incorrect with that statement. I got the Manor 2 bylaw and our bylaw confused.
Yeah.
So the limit in Manor 2 is 5, the limit here is 2
Oh, the limit is 2.
on a residential property. So,
Okay, I was a little bit surprised by that, actually.
Yeah.
That's possibly what led me to this recommendation. That would be something that I'd want to have a look at. But that aside, looking at some of the feedback, I think there is some consideration that we do need to have a look at this policy in a little bit more detail. So I'm still happy with to move that recommendation, but thank you for the clarity on that, because that was a bit alarming, so.
And just further in terms of clarity, it's 2, but you can apply for additional with
Yes.
neighbours approval and some
Yes,
other checks.
yes.
Could I please ask, so if someone has a breeding puppies, just like in town here, at what age does it become a multi-dog? Because does it start when they're born?
3 months.
3 months. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Your worship, did you ever?
Yeah, I just look at the number of submitters and in terms of roaming and aggressive and uncontrolled dogs. Concerning about roaming dogs, 6 concerning about aggressive behaviours. These are potentially serious issues, and if it hasn't been changed for quite some time, then perhaps it is time to be a little bit further in depth.
Thank you.
And we've got some dog issues certainly with them down below, so.
Any other comments? Councillor Pikiura.
My comment would be, given looking at the number of dog owners we have in our district, which is 2,000+. I feel that the number of submitters that we've got in around this is very minuscule compared to that, if we were going to look at that. But the other thing that I was sort of looking at was, it's good to see that I was thinking, what's had the most submissions put into it, and that was around the current the exercise areas that our different towns have. So I think that there's some definite negative things, but I think that that's a positive thing.
Through you, Chair, I would just like to provide some context around the pre-engagement survey was probably at a time of the year, so we know 22nd of December through to kind of mid-January, that wasn't ideal, and I acknowledge that. And it was really just this is something we need to start looking at, and just to get some idea from people who were particularly interested if they wanted to provide that upfront. But what I would say, if we were gonna, when we do consult on this next time, it will be far more broadly publicly consulted, and the process will be more robust. So I would be anticipating a higher level of interest.
Thank you.
So can I just ask a question? So does that mean that for all of those dog owners, they would get a direct?
We could look at doing it that way, yes. And if we are consulting on the policy, my understanding, and I'm not 100% on this, but my understanding is we do have to, anyone that is registered, has a registered dog, we have to notify.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Hedges, no. No, if we, this is, as everyone knows, dogs in public has become a topic that's been brought on the national news quite a lot in the last few months. So we do need to see to be accountable and to do everything we can to minimise the harm. Are you?
Just to reply.
Oh, sure. Are you? Yes, thank you.
The second part of my reasoning for doing this was I'd like to understand a little bit more. There was a comment from someone about registration of working dogs and the age of which they have to be, and that has a high impact on our farming community. So I was seeking, as part of this review, to actually delve into some of our farming communities and what the regulations are. It's not uncommon for a shepherd to have 10, 12, 15 odd dogs. So I'd like to actually just delve into that a little bit and understand what the policy says around that. I too read the comments that you've referred to, Councillor Hero, regarding the dog exercises areas, but simply took that out of my thinking because that's quite a separate matter and possibly something that would come through to an assets and infrastructure, because that's almost like a request for service type thing. So I was distancing myself a little bit from that because I think they're two different spaces. But yeah, understanding some of the impacts on our working dogs in particular, I believe there was a suggestion that they didn't get registered until they were 1 year old. Is that? But currently we're at 3 months. Is that right?
Yeah, that's constrained by Dog Control Act. So we've got no flexibility there.
Okay.
Right,
Thank you.
We haven't had enough speakers for or against, have we?
You've had a few too many, to be honest.
Have I? Oh, okay, well,
And you've had your right of reply. So
I see.
you need to
I
put your
read, oh, thank you, great. All those in favour? Against? Motion carried, thank you. Great. Recommendation 5, that the Policy Planning Committee recommends to Council that it extends the date for the review of the dog control and owner responsibility policy from 26th of May to 26th of November this year to allow consultation on proposed amendments to the policy to be undertaken. Ms. Gow, do you want to speak to this?
It's procedural. So we had in the policy identified the 26th of March as the date that we would need to have reviewed this by completely. And this is just allowing us enough time to do the consultation and then bring a new policy into place.
I don't see anything wrong with that. Is there anybody who wants to ask questions or pose this or? I'll put it straight to that.
You need to move.
I don't need a middle second. Oh, Can I move for a second, then, please? Your worship.
I'll be prepared to second.
Yeah, Bruce, second, we haven't had a movie yet.
Well, you asked for a second, I said I'd second.
Oh, okay. I will move from the chair
All right, and I'll second.
and your second, thank you, your worship. And all those in favour? Yes, Gary, thank you for your attendance. Is the meeting,
You
Finished.
for the meeting.
I for the meeting closed at 1:25.